Okay, so now I have to ask this because your comments about Google and the mapping data that they collect, I think will raise a lot of privacy concerns, especially among
Yeah.
Bitcoiners. So I want to hear your view on, how does Amboss collect the data that you collect? How do you make sure that the outcome is not exploiting this data for, for in the case of Google, their advertising engine?
Yeah. So, uh, let's see. So when we first launched this like channel balance sharing feature, there were a lot of concerns, and so we listened to those concerns, and it was pointed out to us that we don't want to be at subpoena risk for actually knowing how payments flow. Like one of the key components of the Lightning Network is that you have payments level privacy. And if you have, channel balances over a period of time, it's possible that you could actually figure out how a payment flowed. Now, we made a specific design choice after hearing those concerns to actually delete all of the raw balance data after 1 hour. So we have nothing that could actually show that how a payment flowed through the Lightning Network. And in so doing, we're maintaining payment level privacy, but also having a great view of what is the current state of the Lightning Network. And so that is one of those pieces that can inform the up to date routing information without disrupting payment level privacy.
Hmm, I see. Now, because there's a lot of people in the Lightning community that believe like the Lightning Network is going to be the private payments tool, and I think a lot of people work really hard to preserve that privacy. But as you mentioned, this is kind of a choice you guys made. Uh, my question now is like whether or not the Lightning Network itself at a protocol level needs improvements to make sure that payment level privacy is preserved. Because if you were not, if you did not want to make this choice to delete all this data, or if someone else came along and said, I'm going to build an Amboss competitor and I'm not going to delete all this data, that in theory would compromise some level of payment privacy. So does the Lightning Network protocol itself need to see more privacy improvements for users to be able to expect payment level privacy preservation going forward?
It's a good question. And like what the default is on the Lightning Network is that you do have privacy. Now, like one key definition of privacy is the ability to selectively disclose. So users are electing to attest, and this isn't a proof. It's an important distinction. Is that I say that I have these balances, but they could lie. So we're dealing with this information and providing services based on the information that's provided, which is a simple attestation. It's a signed attestation, but we don't really know. One way to like actually find channel balances, like the other way, is through payments probing. So this is attempting a payment. Now, like in our view, like that is dealing with less consent than like actually asking the user or allowing them to share information with us. So like this is there's different ways to approach this problem of like what is the state of the Lightning Network from a pathfinding perspective. And so like of course there could be other companies that come out and say, yeah, I'll take in all this data and I'll never delete it. Well, like uh, we do have like some protections when it comes to like GDPR, this like right to be forgotten. Um, but overall, for the most part, like we're just interested in what is the current state of the Lightning Network, and like for the information that we don't need, like let's get rid of that because it is sensitive, and we don't want to disrupt privacy. And like because we've made those decisions, and also have like great services to offer, like that will continue to incentivize users to like push us data as responsible data stewards, and also providing really high levels of service based on the data provided.
I see. So you mentioned probing. Is this something that you think is actively happening? Are other participants like Chain Analysis and some of these other companies that typically check blockchain data, are they doing this probing actively? Do you have any idea if they're coming up with meaningful results? And is that an avenue that Lightning Network users should be concerned about as it pertains to their privacy?
I think things on the Lightning Network will definitely change, on like whether they're okay with probing, and maybe actually charging for a payment attempt is one way. Now this has like massive protocol implications that even for attempting something you're going to have to pay. So it's a bit weird, but I can see it happening, and this may be one way to like prevent against griefing attacks and other things. Um, but it's a difficult trade off. So that's one way to go about that problem. Overall, there are other companies that actively probe the Lightning Network. They do it all the time just to like find out this network state. However, our thinking is that simply doesn't scale. If you want more participation in the Lightning Network, that's going to mean more nodes. It's going to mean more channels, and at some point, you're not going to have enough Bitcoin in order to probe the entire network and have good, like granular data about what is the state of things.